Ellie,
Hi,
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Excited about this because it's a fun business, right? We'd have lots of different startups on here, but yours is a fun business and it's something that I love. And we started to work for you and we're working for you all over the world as well, which is really cool. So I'm keen to tell everyone about it. So why don't we start by tell the audience who you are and tell them a little bit about Ahoy Club, your business.
Yeah, sure. So I am Ellie Malouf, CEO of Ahoy Club. And Ahoy Club, we're an online marketplace for yachting. So we have 4,000 vessels up on our website. Yeah,
Gosh.
just over, actually.
We've just booked our Christmas party through, did you know that?
I know,
Yeah,
I did know, exactly.
I'm excited.
Sydney Harbour, there we go. And that's one of the things that makes us really different is that we offer any size vessel anywhere in the world. So it starts from a day charter on Sydney Harbour. That starts from really $2,000 all the way up to super yachts in the Mediterranean, which can go to €2 million a week. It's crazy over there. Yeah, crazy world. And prior to Ahoy Club, this didn't exist. So you could kind of go online and search maybe, there'd be 10 vessels or up to 50 vessels on a website, whereas we have provided another level of access really to customers. So they can browse a worldwide fleet in any yachting destination around the world. And we're also a discount model. So for any super yacht charters, we save up to 30% for our customers.
Which is significant on a super yacht.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. And the average charter price in the industry is about $200,000. So when you look at it that way, you're saving considerable amounts to us.
4,000? I didn't realise it was that many.
Yeah.
That's
it's really
insane.
big. Yeah.
Do you know how many there are that are out for charters? Have you got
that
an
is
idea?
just about the
That's
fleet.
about it?
Yeah. So it really, if it floats and it charters, you can generally find it on our platform.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then one of probably our third differentiator is we've brought a new, technology face to the industry. It's quite a analog industry, pen, paper, spreadsheets. So despite all of the glamour, it's quite behind. So we have really invested a lot of time and energy into the tech side of things. Yeah.
That's cool. So tell me, 4,000, how long has that taken?
We launched in May 2018.
So that's pretty quick.
Yeah. So we launched with about 2,000 on the platform. So about 12 months prior was when we really started onboarding a lot of the vessels.
Yep.
And we've rapidly grown since then.
Rapidly?
Continue to, yeah.
Oh, I've got a question I wanted to ask you, and I meant to ask you before we started filming, but I'm just going to ask you on film now anyway. You came to me. I remember you sent me an email and said, someone said I should contact you. Who was it? Can you remember? I know it was a little while ago now. I keep meaning to ask you. I can't think who it might have been.
I should know. Oh, yes. My partner works at TDM Growth, who I know you've been in touch with for Mumley.
Yes.
So they referred me on to you. Yeah.
Oh, I met them through my gym. What a small little world that is.
So they said you were fantastic. Yeah.
They're a cool business too.
Yeah, such a cool business.
Yeah. They're going to go off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back to you. Sorry, I just can't.
No, that's all right.
keep forgetting to ask you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about you before you started Ahoy Club. So where did you sort of start and how did you end up here?
Yeah, sure. So when I finished school, I went straight into the family business, which was a waste management business, Starlet Ump Industries. And so from there, I literally started selling bin bags to households. I was door knocking. So that really taught me hard sales, a lot of rejection.
I did door knocking. I did kitchen knives.
Yeah, so it was great. It really teaches you how hard it can be to win a sale.
It gives you appreciation.
Yes, very much. And then I went into the customer service centre at Starlet Ump and went on to the finance side. And then really for my last year, I shadowed Dad, who was a managing director. So that really taught me everything there was to know about business. And alongside, outside of doing work full time, I was studying a Bachelor of Business at UTS.
Cool.
Then next question everyone asks is how did you go from bins to boats? That really
I was going to word it differently. I was going to be far more eloquent, but go on, tell me.
So it really started as a passion. We've as a family, chartered and owned boats all of our lives. Yep. So, for as long as I can remember, we'd spend weekends on Sydney Harbour and we'd go to the Mediterranean on holiday.
Yep.
And you're paying when you charter, a premium price for a premium product. And what we found really is there was a lack there wasn't a premium service. So there was a lot to be desired on the service side of the industry. And and as I touched on before, and also kind of the technology side. So while I was still at Dollar Dump, I started kind of doing my own brokerage business. I started my own brokerage business called Luxury Marine Charters.
Yep.
And that really gave me a whole new perspective of the industry from a broker's side. So it was really cool to see it as an owner and then a charterer and now as a broker. And then after a lot of family table talk, that turned into really Ahoy Club. It's what births Ahoy Club.
That's how it happens.
Exactly.
So tell me, you said you learned a lot when you became a broker. What did you discover that maybe you didn't know before?
Probably, I guess from the outside it felt inefficient as a customer. You felt, you were still doing printed out contracts, for example, or when you're preparing for a charter and they would ask for what you wanted to eat, drink, and do, you were literally filling out a Word document.
I remember filling out
submitting it back. Yeah, so it was just crazy. And then I think once you were really in the industry, you also felt those inefficiencies because you're trying to deliver this great customer service, but there was no kind of technology to lean on. DocuSign is not, or the electronic contracts didn't even exist.
Nope.
It was really slow and it was still run on spreadsheets. And that's just really not a way today to operate a business, especially when you're dealing with, some of the most luxury and high net worth customers in the world. Probably also just a lack of transparency and kind of communication in the industry became really apparent. And we really surfaced that and just saw that opportunity and jumped on it.
Yeah, okay. And tell me, I know from chartering boats in Sydney Harbour and stuff, not all of them offer catering, not all of them offer drinks. Some people want to bring drinks. Is there another whole sort of world that sits behind the boats of suppliers to boats? Like there must be caterers that specialise in that.
Yeah.
And all those and the staff as well. I guess they don't need wait staff and all that. How is that something that you also offer on the platform as well?
Yeah, very much so. So Sydney Harbour is a really niche market compared to the world because we're in enclosed waters. This is actually the only place in the world you can cruise with up to 200 people on a vessel. Overseas, it's like 12 maximum.
Really?
Yeah. So
not know that.
It's really niche. And, we've had to develop a lot of our systems to really fit to the market here.
Yep.
But the catering side is a really good business, the food and beverage. So for the vessels, all the different vessels kind of have their own preferred suppliers. We manage 4 vessels, so we run all of the supplying and crew for those boats, which is really good. But there's a lot of opportunity to kind of create a bit of more of a consistency on that side of things as well, which is definitely something that's in the pipeline for the future.
I'll bet. Have you found the same problems everyone else has? Look, coming out of lockdown, all I see is restaurants can't get staff, the wait lists are long. Are you finding the same problems with getting staff back? Because we're obviously coming into summer now, right?
Yeah.
We're coming into high season.
Oh, no, we were ready for it.
You're all over it.
So it was the same as last year, kind of. We went into lockdown, in March 2020, and we went straight into lockdown. And sure, we had a few quiet months, but all of a sudden, we have an office in France as well. So
yes, I'm going to come to that.
Normally the season starts by April, May, like the beginning of May, and all of that was cancelled. But come July, like July 1, there were so many last-minute bookings. So we kind of were like, wow. No, in the Mediterranean.
Oh, right.
So over there. And then so we were kind of like, oh, my God, there was an avalanche all of a sudden. So we had to quickly think of on our feet and execute sales really fast. Yep. And then come Sydney summer, so we were really prepped for that, for the avalanche, and the same as this year. So we've really luckily been ready for it, but it's amazing. It's the last month has been since Freedom Day. It's finally back open. Yeah.
All right. So talk to me. One of the things I love talking about on this show, a lot of these podcasts just talk about how wonderful life is, right? Well, we all know when you start and run businesses, it's not wonderful at all. It's bloody hard. Yeah. So tell me, what's been the hardest thing so far, particularly with Ahoy Club, obviously, because you've started that from scratch and taken it to where you have in a really short period of time. What's been the hardest thing you've experienced so far?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people don't know this, but we actually started, our first office was in the UK.
Okay.
And myself and Dad were in Sydney running the business. That was, I think, because 80% of our market is in the Mediterranean. So it just made sense to be there with, I guess, all of the traditional brokerages and to start there because it was the largest market. However, when you've got a really great and big ambitions, and you're really trying to establish a certain culture and values that really represents a new breed in the industry. It's hard to do that on the other side of the world.
Yes, very hard.
So probably the hardest, but it was a good decision. But we actually ended up bringing, so all the technology was there as well, so that all to Australia. So now the headquarters are in Sydney in Double Bay, and we definitely learnt that the hard way. But really what I learnt from that is, you need to have everyone in the same room, to everyone to be aligned with the same goals and mission. And then that allowed us to, now we have our footprint in France, which is fantastic, and want to continue around the world. We probably tried too quickly, so we brought it back home.
Yep.
And now we're really in a great position to keep going global.
Cool. So, and which we're helping you with, which is very exciting. So we've obviously helping you with roles in the US and Europe and here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So whereabouts in France are you?
Golfe-Juan, so it's just between Cannes and Antibes on the French Riviera.
Okay, and is that a hotspot, or was that just a place you decided to choose?
Yeah, it is. So it's a really busy port, and kind of, half an hour from Monaco.
Yep.
And Saint-Tropez, right in the middle.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like a terrible place to have to go.
Yeah.
And then the States, I know I was having this conversation with Terence the other day, it's very much down the bottom end, right? It's down real towards the Florida, at the Keys, and then obviously the Caribbean is the place, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of the boats over winter will go, the Mediterranean winter will leave the Med and go over to the Caribbean. However, the States also, the Americans are big charterers. I think in the industry stats, the 50% of the whole charter market comes from America.
Wow. I would have picked the Russians.
They love boats. They're up there, because America's such a big place. They love the water, and they charter all around the world, Indian Ocean, Mediterranean and Caribbean.
Yep.
So it just makes sense to be there.
Do they have stuff on the West Coast, like California, or is it not a thing there?
A few more day charters.
Okay.
Around LA and things like that, but not really. None of the common kind of weekly charter boats will go there.
Choppy, too much.
Yeah, there's not really, and there's not much
protection.
There's no, the protection and the weather, and there's not really a great weekly kind of cruising itinerary. It's beautiful to kind of stop in at the main ports, but they don't have proper super yacht infrastructure around there to properly berth the yachts.
Wow. So, okay, how do you go about onboarding that many vessels in that period of time? Because that's, you would think that could take years and years and years and years, and you seem to have done extraordinarily quickly, right?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
It wasn't easy.
And is it, I guess for the sake of the audience, are most of them privately owned, or are there large groups that own big fleets, or how does it work? So would you have to go and talk to each individual owner, or how did you do it?
Yeah, no, good question. It's a mix. So we work with a lot of owners directly, and when for those it is one by one. But for the majority of the case, we work with the owners' representatives, and they generally tend to manage really between 1 and 100 yachts. So it's much easier. So really the target, there's about 300 main brokerages in the industry.
Still a fair few people.
Yeah, it is. So we move fast.
Were you busy? Were you over there doing that yourself?
Yep.
Yeah.
So did a bit of dock walking, so that was fun.
Just back to the door-to-door knocking again, but a bit more glamorous.
Yep. And also just then going, obviously, the relationships is everything in the industry, so meeting them face-to-face in their offices and building it from there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I usually spend a lot of time overseas to develop that.
Yeah, I can imagine, which you've not been able to do, so you've been here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting away again?
Yeah, I am.
That's good.
To be honest, I loved being home. I think it was so go, go, go the first 2 years that now, when we had to come back, it was actually amazing. We've been able to build the team here, focus on the local market, and just, I guess, calm down for a little while. So I've loved it, but definitely keen to get back overseas.
All right, so tell me, obviously I know the roles that we're hiring, but what's the plan? Tell me where the business is going right now.
So I guess the plan now is we want to continue our global presence. We're expanding both the team in Sydney and in France, but next up is the US, which is really exciting. And I guess, we have a lot of ambitions. Right now we're in the kind of the charter part of the industry, but there's many other arms, I guess, to go down, from yacht sales to crewing and insurance. So we have lots of things in the pipeline for the next few years.
I didn't know this. Tell me, what's the, you're just expanded the business by about 15 times there.
Yeah, I know.
What's the long-term vision? I mean, you're talking about sales, you're talking about...
Yeah, really everything to do with yachting. We want to be...
Equipment,
yeah,
servicing...
Yep, food
whole
and
thing.
beverage, so the provisioning side, like you said.
Yep.
We have a yacht swap concept that we'd really like to launch for owners, so that owners can swap with other yachts around the world. The yacht sales market, we have sold a few boats. We've actually slowly gone into that already, but we want to expand the sales team. The sales market is booming at the moment. It's a bit like property.
No, it's crazy, isn't it? How long does it take to make a yacht, to build it, like let's say a super yacht? So whatever. And actually, before we tell me how long it takes to build one, what size does it have to be, or how does it qualify as a super yacht from a normal yacht? Where's the benchmark?
So the technical term for a super yacht is 24 metres and over.
Right.
And to build one, it can take anywhere really between a year to 5 years. So really the largest ones, up to 100 metres can take up to 5 years.
Yep.
Probably 3 is kind of the norm in the super yacht category. It's still a while. So a lot of owners, purchase them secondhand though, and they're still in great condition. Yep. We actually did the fastest super yacht sale of all time at the Monaco Boat Show in 2019.
How long?
Sold a yacht in 72 hours.
72 hours?
Yep.
Can I ask the price?
No, but it was 73 metre yacht, so it was large boat.
That's a big boat.
But we're in the business of discretion, so I won't. But you
should have waited an hour. 73 metres in 73 hours. Come on, you missed that opportunity. That's how did that occur? That's a ridiculous time to sell a yacht of that size.
Yeah, it was. So the owner was actually Dad, so he moves very fast, and we're actually, we were able to act quickly. I don't know how to explain it. I think the whole efficiencies, again, that comes back to our tech in terms of we could get through the contracts quickly.
Yep.
Got to the negotiations really quickly because they're pretty open and transparent, get cut straight to the chase. Yep. And we actually left the show on the boat. So it was first time in history, which is really exciting.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. So you're looking at sales, and that's obviously taking off. Where do you think is the next, outside of that, where is the yachting world going? Because it does seem to be expanding. Obviously, we've got TV shows that I'm not going to mention that have made it a little bit more entertaining to some degree. But where do you see that industry going? Is it going to keep growing? Because how many places can you put these things? Because the infrastructure obviously has to be there for them. Sydney is not fantastic for it because if the sailboats can't get onto the bridge, right? And then there's nowhere else for them to go. Is that my right in thinking?
No, they can. Like they're not. The bridge is pretty tall. That's only for like big cruise ships. So I think Australia. I'll start in Australia, then go globe. I think Australia. We're seeing many yachts from the Med come down here, which is really exciting.
Yep.
Because typically it's been a big day charter market, but you're starting to see a lot of Australian owners bring their yachts home, and so they're starting to go up to the Whitsundays and kind of over to the Kimberleys. So that's really exciting because we've only got about 130 charter vessels in Australia.
Is that all?
Compared to the Med, there's thousands. So
that seems so few.
Yeah, I know. So and there's much more demand than there is supply. So there's people wanting boats. They're double booked. So it's going. That's a really exciting, I think, for the Aussie market. And overseas, it's the same. You see more and more owners wanting to go, putting out their boats for charter.
Yep.
I think really it just comes back to the efficiencies. Like I think we really have, with our technology, sped up a lot of the processes. Previously, it was quite daunting to charter a yacht. You go online, you wouldn't know who to speak to.
Yeah.
You didn't know what to do. There's no one really to hold your hand through the process. And the same for owners, though, was the same feedback as, I want to charter it out, but it's all too hard. I don't know who to choose. It's so expensive, etc. So I think we make that a lot easier. I guess we're all about customer service. That's really just been ingrained for me from the beginning. That's all our mission is, to provide the best customer service in luxury travel. And so, and then the rest really follows with that. So just over-servicing the customer.
Yeah, I think that's true of any business, right?
Of any business, exactly.
All right. I've had an interesting thing happen to me this week. So it's not a joke. I'm in between cars. And as you know, it's very hard to get new cars at the moment because of the way the world is. And I have discovered car subscription where you can subscribe to cars. And I have subscribed, and I'm going to try out an electric car because I've never had one. And I'm going to subscribe to one for the next month while I'm waiting for another car just to see what it's like. And it's so simple. I went online. I literally did it in between the filming of one of these shows. I went online. I put all my credit card details in. It's going to be delivered to my house on Wednesday, and I'm going to have it for a month. You can cancel any time. You can change. You can upgrade. Now, do you think
Wow.
boats would ever go that way. I mean, to me, I was amazed you could even do that with cars. It's like you can rent it. I think the longer you rent it, the less you pay, obviously, in terms of years or whatever. But you can cancel, change cars. They cover your insurance. They cover servicing. They cover, pretty much everything. So you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, wow.
That blew me away. Totally blew me away.
Yeah.
Literally until this week, I didn't even know you could do it. And there's like 8 tech platforms that you can do it on in Sydney, which is nuts.
Yeah, wow.
Do you reckon that's something that could ever work in, maybe not in super yacht level because it's too much, but do you think it maybe work on the, I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're definitely starting to see, we're actually dealing with a few owners at the moment who are going into a shared model.
Yep.
So they, might be 6 groups. They might not even know each other and they just want to have, 10 weeks per year.
Yep.
And they do it that way. And that's a way of kind of splitting all of the running costs between you and, not everyone spends every single week on the boat anyway. So that works really well. We're starting to see a big trend in that side. And I guess on the charter side, we've started to sell packages so you can buy 30 hours.
Okay.
So I guess that does match up with the car. Very popular in Sydney. So you've got the clients now who really have seen a lot of the vessels and have their preferred ones. And so we sell corporate bundles. So it might be 20 hours, 30 hours so that they kind of get priority on the timing. So now they can call us, don't have to go through the contract or payments. They can just say, we're on next Saturday at this time. And it works really well for some
people. And you
people.
provide the captain if it's needed, although I guess some of them would be self-driven as well. But...
Yeah, the yacht, they all come professionally crewed. So really the owners look after the crewing.
Yep.
But on our management arm for the vessels that we fully manage, we manage all of the crew as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I've mentioned this question for you earlier and you're not sure about it. And everyone says that, but it's the belief question, right?
Yeah.
We've been through massive change. You've been stuck in Sydney for a while, but everyone's been through change. And I think everyone probably sees the world either consciously or subconsciously slightly differently.
Yeah.
Is there anything, and I've added a bit onto this to make this question easier because some people just couldn't answer it, but is there a belief that you had that has perhaps changed during that time? Or if there isn't, or one that you can't think of, is there a new habit that you have perhaps picked up that you didn't do before that you think you're going to stick with, that maybe was driven more by being locked down? So I'll give you an example. I was never a big swimmer, but I live very close to the harbour and I've gone swimming every day during the lockdown and I never thought I'd do it even when it was cold, but I started doing it out of sheer boredom, to be honest. And now I think I'm going to stick with it, which is, if you'd asked me that a year ago, I would have said, there's no way, I'm not that person, right? I'm not that person that goes down and swims in the ocean every day. But now I am. Has anything like that happened to you?
I wish I was a swimmer. I'm also not a big swimmer.
No, it's a funny thing, isn't it?
I've always been into my fitness, so I do running. But what's changed the most for me, I normally spend a few months overseas, so coming back home has been a big change. I guess, I spend usually my 90 days in the France office. So being back here has definitely been different, but in many ways a great thing. I think I've definitely started reading a lot more, which is great because I actually have time to, which I love.
Do you think you'll continue it, though, when it all gets hectic again? Do you think you'll try and carve out a little piece, even if it's just so 5 pages or something? I don't know. Yeah,
I think so. Because I read a lot of business and product books, so it's just so relevant to what I'm doing that I learn little bits and things every single time. And, the team, I think, notice that whenever I read a book, I'm like, oh, I learned this great thing today. I read this book this year, and from that I created our culture book for the office, and it's made a massive difference to us. So it's funny the little things you learn. I think that's definitely a good habit that I'll hopefully keep forevermore.
That's good. Yeah. All right. Well, that leads me on to my next question beautifully, which is podcasts and books, right? So. It can be something that it can be a book that you've perhaps found or a podcast that really changed your view on something, like it maybe you came up with a really crazy idea, or is it something that you've just discovered right now that you think is quite cool that you're still sort of exploring? Anything that you can recommend out there?
So podcasts, I need to listen to more. I probably don't listen to.
Well, we don't drive anymore, so there's no time to listen.
I know.
I used to always listen when I drove, but we don't drive anywhere.
Probably the favourite book I've read this year was Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh.
I've not seen
He was the founder of Zappos, so a shoe retailer that was eventually bought out by Amazon. And he really just speaks about the importance of company culture and developing kind of just a passion and purpose for all of your colleagues at work. And I took a lot away from that. And I think that's probably a book I definitely recommend.
Yeah, Delivering Happiness. It's got a good title.
Yeah, I know. It's
I've never heard of that
It sounds a bit cheesy, but then when you read it, it's really good.
one. Oh, we all need
It's
some
about
happiness.
his story.
We all need happiness right now. Yeah,
I love that.
And is there anything, I guess, that you found that's been a particular habit that you've picked up out of those business books? Because I read a lot of those business books as well, and I'm kind of been the same as you. I come up with these crazy ideas. I often read them late at night, which is when I do tend to come up with ideas. Is there anything that you think that, think about our audience that watches this show? They're nearly all founders, right? So they're people that are running a variety of different businesses. A lot of them are pretty early stage. So they're not, running necessarily the scale-ups. They're more the small ones. Is there anything you have discovered, maybe it's from that book, you talk about company culture, that helps doing that? Because I guess defining and creating a culture is not a natural thing for a lot of people when they start a business, particularly not when we've necessarily been through what we've been. Anything that you found that's really worked for you?
Probably, and it's such a small thing, but
that's often the most important, though. Yeah.
I document now everything, and probably much more than I did. So, it's so, I think, easy as a founder. I get so excited by all these great ambitions. Like I could say 50 different things that we want to develop and do. And one of my mottos at work, any process that's repetitive, automate it. So there's lots of different things that we want to do, but obviously we can't do it all at once. No. So reading these books, I very much use OneNote and kind of take my key takeaways, because you used to highlight them in the books and you never come back to them, or you'd lose the book.
I used to do that. So, I used to do that and then give the book away. Yeah.
I need to make notes and then, exactly. I've got a big family, so someone would take it. So I document everything. I just have kind of a research folder in my OneNote where I document anything that I've taken away, even if it was a podcast or a book or something I've read. And also alongside that, I've got my wish list. So then it kind of helps you also maybe prioritize that, because you look at how other companies have done it, and that's been really helpful for me. You feel so organised, and you actually feel like it's fun to slowly watch things be ticked off over the last few years. Yeah,
I love that. I love ticking things off.
Yeah.
I have a little book like that just sits under my monitor, and I write things in that. I love crossing things off. It's so good. Yeah, it makes you feel like you've achieved something.
Yeah.
All right, last question. And this is, I want to hear this from your heart, right? So Ahoy Club, we're helping you grow. You're growing like crazy. It sounds by your plans and vision, there's going to be a lot more growth coming as well.
Yep.
Anyone who's watching this, why would they want to come and work at Ahoy Club?
Yeah, definitely. So there's probably, I guess, two sides. One, I guess, starting with the business side, I think it's just the opportunity and the progression and the growth.
Yep.
We, as I've mentioned, have lots of ambitions, and it's so exciting to be in a workplace. We are disruptors in the industry, and it's really cool to watch that change. Like even since some of the girls who have worked with me since the very beginning in 2018, we have really made a lot of heads turn in the industry. And at the beginning, they were so aggressive to us, like the traditional brokerages, and they, would kind of block us from going to boat shows.
Really?
I've been sworn at by some of the biggest brokerages out there, and they were very aggressive. And now, funnily enough, 2 years later, there's a total turn. They have a lot of respect for us because we bring them a lot of work. We're just here doing business, and it's been really exciting to watch that. And it's really only in its infancy. So being part of that growth is really exciting. And as I mentioned, there's just so many different, I guess, streams of the yachting industry that we plan to go into. So really, wherever you start, no day is the same, I guess. Wherever you start, there's so much room for growth. And in terms of our culture, we are definitely not a corporate structure. We're quite being, I guess, just still in the first few years. Everyone rolls up their sleeves.
Yep.
We work so well together, but everyone's willing to jump in, help each other, and kind of, I guess, go outside of the JD.
Yep.
We very much drive and embrace change. So being able to pivot quickly and kind of embrace that with us is important. But I think what's also exciting, we love trialing new things. We fail fast if it's not right, but we really believe in innovation. And so it's really exciting every day, I think, coming in. The team get along so well.
That's good.
It's a really good culture.
Had any competitors pop up yet, or are you still leading the pack there?
No.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yep, it feels good.
So do you think, it's funny that they're aggressive? I mean, disruptors, people are often aggressive too. Do you think it was just a lack of understanding of what you were trying to do? Do you think they felt like you were going to squeeze them out somehow? Is that the reason you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think our pricing model really offended them.
Offended.
But to be honest, when the owner's getting the exact same net that they always were, and really our pricing model is just a discount to the customer. That's our business model.
Yep.
I think it's like, how can you come in between that? Like, that's just our marketing. You know, it's not really our main point of difference for us is as I said before, is the service. Like, we're providing a real fantastic service, which anyone can start to do, but I don't think anyone's properly poured up, which is, so I do think that they misunderstood that part of it. Really, our aim from the beginning has just been to provide the gaps that we saw in the service side.
It never ceases to amaze me when you sit there and you think, gosh, everything's been disrupted, everything's been done, but there's always something else.
No, there's always something
else.
You wouldn't believe it. One of the most glamorous industries in the world is so behind.
I know. Who would have thought it? It's not, it's amazing. Well, well done. And look,
you.
I know that my team is loving working with your team at the moment as well. They really are. It's such a, I don't know. It's a cool business to sell, I guess. It's, you know, they get that, you can hear the energy in their voice when they're talking about it. So
it's a lot of fun.
It is.
We have fun.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Amazing.
Good luck with it all. Good luck with your trip when you get out of here, and go and enjoy the. Oh, when are you going to go? Because it's going to be winter. Are you going to go to the States, or are you going to go?
No, I'll go next May.
Next May. Okay.
Over to Europe. So you'll beat me to it. Going to the Caribbean.
I will.
In Jan. Very jealous.
and I will hopefully be over there in June, maybe, or July, something like that.
Might catch you on
never
the water.
know. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.